Welcome back to some professional StarCraft 2 from WCS Spring 2019, held in Kiev. These are the playoffs. 2 names you should know, and by the end of this, you will know. In the bottom right, the German protoss, nicknamed Die Mauer, or the Wall, for his defense of, well, pretty much everything and then some. It's showtime, and it's showtime. And in the top left, qualifying for the round of 16 of GSL, one of the best players in North America, one of few, precious few foreign, non-Korean Terran players. It's special. Get your Doritos chips out, because it's time for Juanito. Terran versus Protoss. Just recently in GSL, up against 2-0-2-0 against SOS. One of the sneakiest. Well, SOS is almost a completely different Protoss player. While we have a little bit of time here, obviously Special not a big fan of probes. Nobody is. SOS is almost playing a different race than Showtime most of the time. I don't know if Showtime's changed up his style. I haven't seen too many of his games in 2019. I don't know if he's changed up his style, but I doubt it. Him and Neeb are both shield protosses, much like players like Stats, where their focus is not so much on sneaking something and getting damage done with a crazy cheeser all-in, though they will proxy, but instead on making sure they can get up to a solid economy, lots of infrastructure, things like that. Showtime already showing that, opting for Robo first, but putting it in a bit of a sneaky location. This is partially a scouting pylon, I would say, and partially to potentially hide it. Because on this map, the Reaper cannot get in via a Reaper cliff. That means he can't just jump in and try to get some information. Gives you a little bit more leeway as a Protoss to deny scouting, because that is usually a pretty major sticking point early on. Protoss is actually building around even the first Reaper, or maybe a couple Hellions behind. Special is someone who's been playing around with some mech against Protoss lately. It definitely has found a place. I don't think it's still the most common option, but just having options is very important for Terran, because if a Protoss knows what you're doing, they can build against it. Protoss has to invest significantly more than the other races in specific tech, but once they have that tech counter, they're very dangerous. Oh. The probe is actually in the mix. Fun fact, the probe is a serious part of this attack, as SCVs and Marines both take 3 hits from Adepts, but 2 hits bring them to about 1 HP. So what that means is the probe can come in and finish things off. It doesn't this time. It eats some extra hits. 1 Adept goes down. A single Hellion brought in to help out. But the Reaper's going back across the map. We already have, it's going to be a 4-gate Prism aggression. This is to punish a Terran player who's really focused on pumping out those harassment units. What? Is that a wall? I'm not an expert. I think Showtime is. I mean, his name is The Wall, so I assume so. Otherwise, I have no idea why Special wouldn't just hop inside. I'm gonna feel... No, wait, that's not it. No. I'm gonna feel really dumb. What? No, you're kidding me. No. What? No. There's a zoning field there. Apparently. Whatever. It is a wall. Trust in Showtime. Don't trust me. The War Prism... Wait, was that scouted out by Special? War Prism going into the main. Immortal and 2 Stalkers loaded up. Here comes the scouting depot, and it will scout its immediate death. Everything else is being loaded in. 2 waves, but the Fairy is already inside the base. He's got a Guardian Shield. Targeting down Cloak. Cloak, a key component of getting damage for Special. The boys already have to be pulled off the line. Widowmine will burrow. Guardian Shield helping out a ton from those Marines and Banshee. Just a single Banshee, and he knows it doesn't have Cloak. Oh, Widowmine hidden beneath the command center dish. SCV's dying, 9-10 so far. No counter damage being done. Very important to note, Showtime did this without... He isn't building probes. He didn't have many probes. This was a big commitment, but it's paying off. The Warp Prism goes into transport mode. He can juggle back. He's actually dodging some of the Banshee hits. Incredible micro here from Showtime, but as long as he keeps the Immortal alive, I'd call that a success. All the gateway units are expendable. Those can be rebuilt. The important fact, the important takeaway from this, he denied any opportunity for real counter damage. So that means special, his tech has been denied, and his focus was on going for, well, he had Widow Mines, Cloak Banshee, things like this are for potentially controlling a protoss. But he's not controlling the protoss. He lost 15 SCVs. Now, because special, much like TY, his friend and practice partner and counterpart, and in fact, fun fact, really quick, TY stood in for special at the GSL group selection because special was going to WCS for some reason. Oh, Immortal targets down a tank as well. So, good friends there. But yeah, they're both known for building a ton of SCVs, sometimes too many. They're one of the few Terran players that you'll see go over 100 SCVs just because that mechanical SCV building reflex is so good. Showtime, only 4 probes up despite that. So while first it looked pretty solid, did he get it? He only, okay. He didn't get another tank there. The Banshee's coming in. He didn't try to invest in Cloak again. The strength of Cloak is the timing. A scan looking for observers, not going to find him. I'm kind of surprised he scanned so deep into his base, unless he actually just... Oh, maybe there was an observer there, and I'm blind. So that is a wall. It is a wall. That's what we've landed on. Now here's the here's the crazy thing about the mechanical... The sheer mechanical skill of special. Despite all the damage that was done, he lost 15 SCVs. He lost his tech. He's ahead on supply. He's 2 workers away, which for a Terran is great because you have mules which add to that income. So right now, special actually should have even or more mineral income. He's got all his production up. His third base is at a similar time, though he does have to build it in the main. And the upgrades are, I was about to say far ahead, but they're ahead. He has +1 Stim Combat Shield, bringing in a Raven. Very useful tool in almost every situation, to be honest. Somehow the Reaper is still alive. How? Wait. Yep, that's the first Reaper. That's how you know he's not using the Selecto Army hotkey. What is Showtime doing? He's got Colossus on the way. But Colossus up against someone who's opened up Raven? How many tanks on the field? Just 1 tank. So there is a solid counter for the Colossus in the form of Interference Matrix from the Raven to disable it for a time. But not like having 3 or 4 tanks would make it incredibly counterproductive to go for Colossi because they'd be so easy. There's such a big investment to get that fully extended thermal lance. As well as build the Colossi themselves. They are quite expensive. But if you get enough, eventually you negate the bio. And I do point out, it is bio this game. Double drop coming through. The Raven, also simply a detector. No more of those pesky observers seeing everything you're doing, like Protoss always seem to do. Now, when you're going for Colossi, you don't have much time to build out of the robotics. You know what that means? There is not an observer in place. The Reaper is used as a pre-scout to bring in the drops. The attack is coming in at the 3rd. Showtime trying to do some aggressive defense, but guess what? He's dropping on top. Some Stalkers were at the back. Showtime already predicted this. Counter damage being done. He's trying to target down a tank. The Zealot will get it, and he gets out. The Warp Prism's still intact. The drop will be rebuffed for now. At the back of the mineral line, a Banshee going to work. Always bringing in a kicker. There's almost no anti-air here. A couple sentries. He doesn't want to lose the Banshee, but a Warp in the main will be immediately denied. He doesn't want to risk the Warp Prism getting sniped off by the Marines. 5 probes go down to the Banshee. The Banshee falls as well, but just the distraction. These players really starting to punch each other here. Already from the start. But both of them very good at multitasking defense and offense. But they're just trying to outdo one another. Viking forces a recall on the War Prism. Is there an armory out of special? There is not. Wait, does he have a factory? Oh, he's building a second factory. Wow. A triple drop coming out. Is the Raven still alive? The Raven is still intact. It has nearly full energy. That's 4 interference matrices, an anti-armor missile, or 2 scrambles. I like Scrambler Missile better. That was the original beta name for it. Now goes an Observer. Couple medevacs with this army. There are only 2 Colossi. They can easily be disabled. Both of these armies, both of these options are deadly if Showtime is out of position. The supply really starting to spiral in favor of Special as it will at this point. Oh, is Storm done? He doesn't have Storm, but he doesn't have feedback. He doesn't get the Raven with it. Drop in the main. Robo exposed. Immortal pops out into a world of fire and death. Special will retreat off the 4th base, but he's doing damage in the main. The Templar Archives could be next on the chopping block, unless this pylon distracts him more, or this Nexus. Make a decision, Special. The Nexus is going down. In comes the Bio Army. The Colossus doing so much damage when microed back, but is there enough in front of it? Down goes the Templar Archives again. Blink Stalkers, no! Special! Special, the right click was a little bit off-center. He loses one of the medevacs. Showtime, the wall holds. A little bit of counter coming in. Losing the Templar Archives hurts, but he didn't have Storm researching, which I guess is a tiny silver lining. He didn't at least lose that. But he's not going to have the Templar Archives, which means Special can focus more on directly countering those Colossi. He's got tanks on the way. Everything will unload. Showtime looks to be now on the attack. Blink is done for Stalkers, which is going to become even more relevant as Liberators start to siege up. Archon's in front. 1-1 versus 1-1. He blinks on, takes out 1 tank, 2 more tanks, siege up on the high ground. Special still with a lot of bio. Looking for the target, fire from the tanks. Does he have it on the Colossi? Not quite yet. Going for SCVs. On the other side, Special siege up Liberators. Multiple bases simultaneously, but 15 SCVs are burned down by the thermal lances. Liberators shut down for now. 57 to 51 workers. Special's really trying to push down against this. 3 Colossi, but a good spread. Is there a Guardian Shield? There is not. Down goes the Immortal. The Marauder's very dangerous to the Colossi, but that choke point dangerous to the Bio. It looks like the Liberators finally cleared up. Showtime's forced back onto his side of the map. 4 tanks are enough. And Special Terran can recover from economic hits a little bit more strongly with mules, especially if they're banking up any money, but you need to keep those orbitals intact. Showtime building 4 probes at a time. His 2-2 is significantly quicker. Triple drop on some badly bruised. This is a dangerous drop here, but still, no observer from Showtime. He's chrono boosting out units from the Robo, but none of them are obs. What is the reaction on Showtime? Not quick enough. He's going to be able to unload most of this. He tries to blink in, doesn't find a medevac. The rest of the army working its way up towards the 4. Charge lots are warped in. The Robo blasted to pieces so quickly by that many Marauders. There's only a single Stalker with this. The 4th base under fire again. 2 Colossi are going to back this up. That should be enough. He's not going to be able to get the base. The boost one of the medevacs, but the Blink Stalkers bite off more than enough. Suddenly Showtime. He took out all the units, or most of the units in the drops in the main. He took out a lot of the bio and a couple medevacs at the 4th. And suddenly he's up by 20 supply. The one thing he's lacking is additional splash damage, but he does have a 2 upgrade advantage. It's 2-2 against 1-1 for a few moments longer. Oh god. That's 6 tanks. Tanks not that often a big part of later game Terran unit compositions, but Special is relying on them. The Templar Archives is rebuilt, begging the question of whether Showtime actually realized he lost it earlier on. He starts 3-3. Is there a fusion core? Can he go for Liberator range? He hasn't been going for... Special has not been going for mech weapons or armor. He's just been building up the tank count. More Liberators being built. 4 medevacs and then into Liberators. At least these ones are repaired. He's got 9 tanks. So in this position, Special is going to be looking to outmaneuver Showtime. Because Showtime does have the brute force. He has the upgrades. He has the unit count. He has the supply. But if those tanks are sieged up in the right spot, Special kind of in an awkward position. Really looking to find the army. He doesn't quite see it. Dropping towards the main. One more medevac every time he commits to a drop. Where was the robo? Was the robo rebuilt? Oh yeah, he sniped it in the last one. Storm is on the way, 3-3 as well. Charge lots coming into the 4th. Unfortunately, the bunker just finishes and is not loaded up. A lot of the army's coming back to the main. Showtime not willing to commit everything. Very important. Liberator scouted by the 5th base. The charge lot's going to work. Special dippy in supply just a little bit. We drop on top of the Colossi. Blink comes through. Not going to find any. Oh, I take it back. Wait, do I take it back? I don't take it back. I almost did. I thought about it. Few more probes go down, but Showtime has plenty. The worker count for Special a little bit more tenuous. These tanks have just been chilling in the middle of the map, looking for an opportunity. Stargate, Dark Shrine, 3-3, finishing up for Showtime. One hero zealot going to work. Oh, the tanks on siege at possibly the worst time! Whoa, 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 whoa! Special! He gets force fielded in, but this is one of those awkward scenarios where it's not sure who's trapping who. He's trying to bait him into the tank fire. Liberator sieges up at the back. There's always a kicker. Showtime focuses his units around. Some probes will fall. This will take Showtime's attention. He still has units committed. Special did not expect the attack on the 4th. He didn't have a sensor. Oh my god. So many tanks. But just tanks. Whereas anything else, it doesn't matter. He doesn't seem to care. Special sprinting the bio up to the top of the map. Whoa, the recall! What is he recalling? Oh, if Special had just jumped on that. Oh, wait, there's some charge lots coming in. Where did they cut? There's a warp prism here? Excuse me. Excuse me, sir. Does he even go for the prism? He's trying to warp in charge lots to reinforce. Special is back to 150 supply. 2 upgrade advantage for Showtime. He's rearranging his units to attack the 4th. Where are the Colossi? They were with the recall. The rest of the units from the main coming out. He's pulling everything to try to beat Special down one last time. The tank fire. Good storm to start on the bio, but the tanks outrange it. And there's not much in the way of anti-air. There's nothing much to deny the War Prism. The main base has already been lifted a while ago, trying to target down one Colossus. The grenades. He gets a Templar, but the storm comes off. The tank count is at 12. He has more tanks than he has either Marauders or Marines. So, I mean, the War Prism flies by. The turret will continue its world tour. Oh wait, those are DTs! Special's moving up. He denies the DT warp and recalls on cooldown for a few more seconds. There are storms on the way up. Will they? The storms kill him out of back. Meanwhile, the full army! The Templar! Not quite in range, but the DT is still going to work. Showtime. If he can't fight him at the front, he rips through the back. There are Tempests. DT Blink is nearly complete. Shadow Stride. The scans come in. Special trying to hold on, but he's supply blocked even at 160. "18 minutes. Showtime trying to just put everything together and bring the hammer down. But Special keeps sliding barely out of the way. There are 15 tanks. He's really banking on them. The War Prism comes in, the DT slicing through the unlucky Marines left behind. Showtime doesn't even want to engage that head on. There's no way Special can come back. The tanks are committed. SCVs. Oh my god, burning. Still, Special supply is pretty high. That happens when you have a dozen tanks or more out on the map. Showtime, he's base trading a Terran, but this might be one of the few good scenarios to do it. He knows he can gut Special's economy. All he has to do is whittle down the army. There are Tempests on the way. There are Tempests somewhere. Where are the Tempests? It doesn't matter. Special simply doesn't have the army to fight that many Tempests. He doesn't have Vikings. Marines aren't gonna cut it. And knock out. In game number 1, Showtime takes it. Special, I feel like going for that many tanks instead of ranged liberators was a half measure. Because tanks, unlike years ago, do not fly. if he was in a bit better position where he could defend and attack, tanks are really good, but let's go to game 2. Yeah, tanks don't counter Tempests. I learned this in a children's book somewhere. A solid game. I feel like Special lost momentum with the drops weren't perfect. And I know that's a bit of a different standard, but the drops were a little sloppy. They were a big commitment of army supply for relatively minimal reward. He just didn't kill that much production or that many units. So he kept committing 30, 40 supply in towards the main, and it just kept not quite paying off. Kill a Robo, kill a Templar Archives, good. But eventually the death ball comes together. Oh, a Mecha-Rex. Special tactics. So special. This is entirely to freak out Showtime. We're at mind game levels here. The probe comes in, sees there's 2 gases, there's no barracks, starts freaking out. A lot of players, especially shield protoss players, will start scrambling. Where's the barracks? Is it in my base? Is it in their base? Whose base is it in? Start throwing around baseless accusations. But Showtime not freaking out yet. He just went straight for the expand, which is actually best case scenario for him. And he sees it. There you go. He found the barracks. That's all he needs to know. The expansion. Wait, will you counter proxy? No. It's too late to counter proxy. At least for now. I think he's just leaving the probe until he wants to bring it back in. There's a lot of mind games as to where you put your scouting probe. Like, all these early game units at this level. Do you keep them... It's usually a keep your friends close, keep your enemy closer situation. Because a lot of players will expect you to be just outside the base. So if you're literally outside their door, sometimes players won't check. That's why we, on occasion, see proxy Rexes, like, behind a mineral line. It's so close, it's so obvious, it becomes less obvious. That's not happening right now, but that is a key part of players like Maru. It's like, no, he won't proxy in my base. Well, guess what? Two Reapers. An interesting combo. He can knock around the Adept, but he's not worrying about that. He's worrying about the probes. He's going to get one. Hellion, of course, a pretty big threat. Gets 2 probes. Gets a good scout. The fact that there are 2 Stalkers here is a bit of a giveaway. That means there's not much gas for too much tech early on. I'm interested, like, he went for 2 Reapers. I guess that's partially because he had the racks on the low ground. Oh, he's going mech. Artosis giggling right now. As finally, mech against Protoss is my call. Because we've got Cloak on the way. He's hiding it at the back of the main. We've got a tech lab. I wouldn't be surprised to see a flip over here. A 3rd command center. Oh, he's got to be going mech. Without it's the biggest struggle in transitioning from like Cloak Banshees to Bio. It's not as big of an issue against Zerg, but it's simply, it leaves you, if they counter the Cloak Banshees, it leaves you with such a time before you can actually do anything else. Not only are you vulnerable, like we saw a little bit of Showtime exploiting last game, but it's quite a while before things like Stim, Metavacs. The Tech Lab Starport obviously transitions easily into a Raven. Okay, please. He's getting 2 more gas. It's gotta be mech. Please make it happen. Take me to McDonald's, Juanito. He's gonna be adding on. If he were to go mech, he'd be adding on the factories now. Like, we're gonna figure this out. Yeah, you have the gas. He's microing a Banshee. Alright. And then the factories. I'm a little biased. I'm never biased. I'm the most unbiased caster. A lot of people say that my greatest strength as a caster is being so humble. And there they go, the factories! He's making it happen! That's not a real Phoenix special. He was bamboozled. And then he starts to realize he was just hallucinating those lasers. He's having a lot of changes of heart here. Did he cancel Cloak? He did. He did cancel Cloak at the last second. Got his money back so we could put it into some fact. No, Cyclone! That Cyclone got a little distracted up against the little rock pillar there. But it will find the Observer. So now Special has kind of one of those ragtag group of... he has units enough to put some pressure on a third base if the third base is early enough, but not enough to do a long-term attack. Like 2 tanks, a Raven, a Cyclone, some Marines to buffer. The third base will be spotted, but I think that time has almost passed now. Some good Banshee micro out of Special, of course. He's going to see the gates being added on. I believe he saw the Templar Archives, Twilight Council, Forge spinning up. That's all I needed to know. Immediately, Mag Field Accelerator for that Cyclone damage against armored units. Charge is finishing up. Showtime looks like he's going to try to bring the hammer down. Tanks are good positioning here. There needs to be enough buffer for the tanks. 5 tanks is a bit of a tall order. Is an armory done? There's got to be an armory. He doesn't have an armory yet. So Special going straight. Like, he's really relying on the strength of these Tech Lab upgrades. The army is spotted out. Showtime has 60 probes. He's now starting to build some more. The tanks are a little out of position, but he has a couple on siege ready to respond. King's Cove is just a tough map to attack up. This is not a map you can easily just go... Because even the third base has its own ramp. The choke points are difficult to maneuver. So Showtime at some point is going to have to think about the next step. Is it going to be more Robos? Is it going to be Stargates? Does he really just try to brute force it with gateway units? We've seen there's been so little mech against Protoss in these straight-up games. And this, it's not like Showtime took a bunch of damage. He lost 5 probes to a Banshee and the early Reaper Hellion Harass. So there's no real textbook right now on how to respond to it. The basic... The common knowledge would be Immortals and Archons, but that's kind of your response to almost everything as Protoss. But also, then what? Do you need Tempests? Do you need to do things like Storm Drops? What is the counter? We'll see if Showtime knows the answer to that question. Immortals are always good. Yeah, without the tanks to back them up and without upgrades, the Hellclone army, there's no easy response. He doesn't have Blink done yet. There's a Robo base, second Robo on the way. 4th base coming up. A little bit of miss micro there. If he loses the Raven with that much energy, super important. Blink just finished. He notices, he knocks out the Raven. A bit of a miss micro from Special, I will say. But Special's supply is actually insane. He's got the full Industrial Revolution pumping out here. 3 Cyclones at a time. Plenty of Hellions. He's got 2 reactors, 3 tech labs for those looking to take notes. A 4th command center is on the way. But this is just mass factory mech here. A little bit reminiscent of Brood War. Some Blue Flame Hellions coming out. Those are very dangerous. He's working towards the 3rd. The Blink Stalker's coming in. There's a single cannon. The rest of the units are coming back as well. Special buying a lot of time with just these few units. Yeah, Showtime getting a little distracted. He knows how dangerous those Hellions are, but you gotta be careful not to give up your map position just because of that. Scan from Special. He's gonna see the army moving up. That's a lot of Cyclones now. He's got 10 of them. Immortals a great counter if they can actually get their hands on them. Or at least their little cannons. That Archon is very dead. Widow Mines with Drilling Claw is going to be a pain to deal with. Drilling Claws is nearly done. So far, the Cyclone's doing a great job of whittling down the Protoss army. This should be a planetary. It will be. 1-1 is about to finish up. 2 Colossi on the way. Okay, Colossus counter. Here come more Hellions. Easily taking out these probes. The Blue Flame and soon to be +1 is going to make it. I believe it's going to take 2 shots. Special's nearly maxed out. This is just so many units. And they're almost entirely expendable. Everything but tanks and starport units. Like, you can easily reproduce half a dozen Cyclones or Hellions. Ooh, you gotta be careful that your own army doesn't box you in, though. A lot of these Cyclones badly bruised. Showtime's putting his army together. Significantly down on supply, but remember, Special doesn't... That is. He has a whole minefield. I know, like, people say minefield, but this is just a field filled entirely with mines. He's gotta be careful about this. The Blink's coming through, looking for the Observer. And if he doesn't have Observers, he can't detect these mines. He doesn't have a Stargate. Oracles for Revelation will be the ideal counter. Disruptors are a softer one. The Blink's coming in, but Showtime is pushed up against his own Nexus. The lock-ons, more than enough to zone him out. And the tanks are here. Special is ready to push. He's got a full wall of mines in front of him. The tanks will siege. Does he have... You gotta come in from a couple different angles. The Widow Mines work for both sides, depending on how close you get. More Widow Mines triggering. Showtime looking like he's just struggling to figure out what to do. He can't get on top of this army. The Widow Mines will connect if he gets close enough, and if the charge lots don't draw him into Special's army, he's just gotta give out the 4th. Almost without a fight. The 4th base is gone. Showtime is rebuilding, but it just started, meaning he did not plan on giving this up. But it was taken. Nice dodge there. I don't know what that force field was. Just a panic force field. Happens to everybody, okay? When you reach a certain age, panic force fields everywhere. Oh, Disruptor! Big Widow Mine hit. Well, big hit on the Widow Mines. Very important distinction. The Disruptors can ward these back. He can no longer have those big clumps of mines that will obliterate any ground units that get close. Another Observer at front. He's pumping them out. He's got 2 Robos. He might want to invest in more. Now, Cyclones can easily outrun the Disruptor shots unless he's not careful. He's coming in from both angles, but here comes Showtime for the break. Looking for the opportunity. Blinks out of the Widow Mines. There's not that many tanks in the back. Big Disruptor shot. Finds a connection. 3 Cyclones go down. Blink Stalkers going forward, blocking on the clones. He's rebuilding immediately, but Showtime will drive Special back. There's still some Widow Mines that did survive this exchange. He's going to bring the Observer and clean him up. Oh. Yes, that could have really stopped him in his tracks later on, especially imagine transferring probes. This base is gone. Exploratory Disruptor shot. Finds a Cyclone. But the tanks, Ravens, and Planetary Fortress are going to be a tougher nut to crack. Special working his way into the 4th. He's going to find plenty of probes ripe for the taking. Showtime doesn't have an overwhelming economy. He's only got this tenuous 4th base. 62 probes. He's going for it. Where are the anti-armor missiles? Where are the interference matrices? Disables 2 Colossi and the ever-important Warp Prism. Now he loses the Ravens with it, but Showtime is driven back off the field. Special. Well, he might not be able to break through. He definitely won't be broken himself. 2-2 versus 2-2. But Special will be the first one to start the +3 upgrades. And 3 Liberators at a time. It seems like it really does feel he's still in control of this game. Despite being pushed back at Showtime's 4th. He still has the unit composition. I don't think... Right now, Showtime's just building the same units, whereas Special is diversifying and upgrading. He's getting more Liberators. He's getting 3-3. Oh my god, he comes in again. The probe count gonna be driven back, maybe under 50. He's at 62. He has to recall. And he recalls 3 Archons and 2 Immortals to counter 2 Hellions. Showtime doesn't know what to do. He's trying to react, whereas Special is proactive. The Cyclone takes out... Oh my god. Well. These just two Hellions are so dangerous on their own. He's still finding an opportunity to do damage. The Archons. He's trying to flank two Hellions, alright? Two Hellions are nothing. Oh. Widowmine out on the map. Still dangerous armies for both sides. 5 Colossi. How many tanks? Special has added in many more tanks after seeing the Colossi commitment. And Disruptors as well. This, before, was his mid-game army. Cyclones, Hellions, Widowmines. Now, he's got his late-game army. 3-3. 14 siege tanks. 5 Liberators. Some Cyclones and Hellions just to zone out while he's on the move. But the stopping power is dramatic. Showtime, to his credit, has rebuilt. He's just now getting a Stargate, though, and against this many siege units, you really, really need a Stargate. You need Tempest. He's only got one. What is that, for a mothership? But how does he stop Special's follow-up? 3-3 is done. Showtime never started it. He's down on upgrades. 19 siege tanks. 19. And if they get sieged up, the army... No, no, no. Get away, Stalkers. Run away! Oh, God. Well, they're going to leave one way or another. And the Liberator sieges to protect the tanks. More tanks. These ones should be cut off. Unfortunately, they do siege up and get some shots off before this is all said and done. The middle base is just absolutely gone. Showtime's army is cut off from his own base, but the tanks are unsieged. Is this the time to go? Oh my god, that's so many tanks. That is terrifying. Oh, Jesus. Still, Showtime's roving army will find a base. Not bad. 20 probes have gone down, though, in the last minute. He needs to hit the tanks while they're unsieged. It's almost impossible to do. Oh! Even a single volley blasting apart. Alright, that's just one tank. He's gonna go for it. He's gonna try to find something while Special sieges up his third. Showtime's looking for a fourth. He will get it. Oh, jeez. It just feels like Showtime... I mean, if you gave Showtime a pad of paper and you said, how do you counter mech? I'm sure he could write something down. But put him in this spot. The Tempests are a long way off. And without Tempests, I'm not entirely sure. He's down on upgrade. If you're even or ahead, maybe a ground army can cut it. But you can't be behind on upgrades and supply and fight with a ground army. It's just not going to work. The Disruptors aren't even going to get close. Showtime has one last stand. Special is maxed. Exploratory Disruptor shot, an air ball. This is maybe the best position. Special, you can target down the Ruptors. He does. And some nimble navigation here out of Showtime means, with the Archons, he will clean this up at the cost of... Despite how good that looked for Showtime, I draw your attention to the bottom of the screen. Special is at 170 supply. Showtime, 70. And look, there's another army. But wait, there's more. The Liberators are far too much. GG, Special, tearing through everything. That's more like it. It appears mech is what he falls back to. The bio didn't work out. He decided, yes, I like the tanks, but everything else is gonna need to change. Well, that was a bit of a clinic there. And it's not like Showtime was a pushover. Especially, he didn't even... Now, a lot of the times when you see mech work against protoss, historically, It's been because the Terran was able to do so much damage early on. Like, they killed 15 probes with Hellions, or a Banshee, or Liberators. Special killed 5 probes with a Banshee that then died. It wasn't like he was in this huge game-winning position from the start. That was just straight-up mech. And Showtime never was really able to put together anything that countered. Well, Specials decided each game, the barracks has gotten closer to Showtime's base. Alright, first, it was at the top of the ramp. And then it was near his third. Now it's near Showtime's third. Next game, I predict the barracks will be in the natural. It is scouted immediately. Excuse me, sir, but unfortunately... Oh, wait, the SCV isn't... Oh, Jesus! Special's trying to micro that soul. He gets it!
First blood!
That's actually huge. He's already sent out another SCV, and that one will not be denied. But... that's actually a pretty big deal. Delaying the first barracks and killing an SCV. Yeah, that's... Ooh, the probe not able to block the factory from being on location. The probe is now stuck in the base, so we will have at least one kill. This is no longer an organic, grass-fed, mineral-fed, free-range probe. A Zealot here to help block out the Proxy Reaper. Because the one thing that Special will not have... Oh, that was a nice... Did you just jump from... Anyway, that's illegal. It's going to be a similar opener to the last time. 2 Reapers and a Hellion. But, just because the barracks was found out doesn't mean Special is going to be in a necessarily bad position. Oh, an Adept comes up. Technically, 2 Reapers and a Hellion can kill an Adept without any losses. Technically. 2 Adept, well, things become a little more complicated as time goes on. Stalker, Adept, the Dream Team. The 3 Musketeers of Protoss Gateway. Grenade hits all 3! Great placement there. He's going to delay the command center. He's just going to go across the map. Until he gets a Cyclone out, you can't really fight this. Whoa, whoa. Let me in. Now that command center cannot be delayed. There's a Reaper on the other side. Grenades coming out. There's already a block on the high ground for Showtime. The Zealot trying to get a delay. The command center... So here's the amusing part. If the command center took enough damage, once it finishes, it will start burning. But it will very politely not start burning until the command center itself finishes. So, I don't think it's quite low enough to actually be at that HP. Oh, the Cyclone comes up. Cyclone, key part of this. Yeah, he really needs those. The tank. Now, a War Prism gives Showtime options, obviously. There is a Robo Bay on the way. Showtime's at 42. Now this, when your command center gets delayed this much, and you lose that many SCVs, of course. Oh, 2 tank hits. Okay. A little bit of a slow reaction on Showtime. It's 43 to 29 workers. This is not an insignificant deficit for Special. Yeah, that's... I mean, he already kind of knew that was happening. He doesn't have a 3rd command center either. He's building up to 3 racks, which means a bio timing is the ultimate objective here. He's going to make sure that Showtime doesn't have a third. He should be looking for it just in a moment here. He's going to try to deny it or pressure it. The fact that a Stalker was down there should already give away some of this. Oh, the probes! The citizens arrest! The Reaper almost slips through. Scan catches the obs. Liberator's on the way. Either a scan or something like... There's no stim. He's not getting stim. He's attacking. You don't get combat shield first unless you're doing a timing with combat shield. That's hard stop there. In no way is combat shield going to be the choice early on unless you're doing a timing right now. And here we go. Another observer comes up. The Stalkers, they do not have blank. Colossus on the way. Hellion scouts, there's no third base yet, but he was angling towards it. Looking for an opportunity. Cyclone getting kind of ferried along. Will decide to participate in the group activities. Oh, Showtime with a bit of miss micro there. He's looking to target down, but the Immortal already lost its barrier and lost all its shields. Special, the Tacta boys being pulled with the tank. Looking for an opportunity. The tanks are sieging up. He just walks up to his front door. Showtime says, get off my lawn. The Liberator actually found 5 probes in the main while I wasn't paying any attention. The shield batteries are coming up. Not all of them are done yet. The War Prism is a serious threat. Anything that can draw tank fire allay. But the combat shields is done. These Marines are much harder to kill. They're not going to have stim, but Special is essentially all in on this. Showtime is pushed up against his own Nexus again. The War Prism's on the other side of the map. He's got to be very careful with it. The Immortal comes out. He might be able to cut off the reinforcements. But does that matter? Can he kill what is already at his door? Extended Thermal Lance is done. A second Colossus is about to be done. Special is knocking. The Colossus pops out at the last second. He's not going to get another. Oh, great positioning. Where's the War Prism? He's bringing it back. He needs to pincer. He can't lose this Nexus. He does not deny the bunkers, but there's only a couple SCVs for repair. The tanks are still shelling. The reinforcements. He's bringing more boys. He's bringing the rest of the units. Both sides are escalating. The shields are down on the Nexus. The War Prism is forced away. He can't let these tanks. He has to go. He has to go. He loses the Nexus. He saw the boys being pulled. Another tank being cut off, but like, is now the time to play traffic cop? You've got much bigger issues to worry about. He retreats to his main. Most of the SCVs of Special, not most, but many of them are across the map. Showtime drops to 1 base. He doesn't have the units, though. Special has enough at home, and with combat shields, it's much harder to kill these units. It's very hard to pull the trigger on a timing like this. The choice of combat shields was committed early on. That means he was planning on this for much of the game. It looks like Showtime is slowly running out of air. Well, not very slowly, actually. Pretty quickly. He needs the Prism. He needs to be able to manipulate his units in and out of his main. But he lost his Robo, so he can't even build more Immortals. It looks like he may lose the Cyber Core. How many units do you bring to the low ground? Everybody. Everybody? He's making another Colossus. I don't know if you bring everybody. He's gonna try to come in the back. What? No, where? What? Showtime! Where are you going? The absolute madman. The reinforcements will be cut off. This is a gamble. I mean, these scans. Where is everybody? Showtime, this is not an army that can easily move. His bunkers might even... He's coming back home. Wait, he's already got the defenses. 2 tanks on the high ground. Even that... The boys will all be pulled. The rest of the army is coming back around. Special has the defenses, but are they enough? Is there enough anti-air? Showtime has no home to go back to. He's gonna try to micro the Colossi, but the tanks are sieged. There's tanks everywhere, which is just gonna be the title of this series. That's my good clickbait title, all right? Let me wait. I gotta make the face. Okay, we'll bookmark that. GJ Special 2-1, 1 game away. There's tanks everywhere. Showtime does not hold. And now here's the interesting. I wanna spend some time as we start. You guys can read. You guys can figure out who's who. This isn't. Unfortunately, this isn't live from the floor of WCS, believe it or not. So we're not going to introduce the players every time, but everybody get hyped in the crowd. But, Special and TY. And since they play so similar and practice together and all that, we never got that Special versus TY TVT match in GSL, and I'm still salty about that. But, the style. TY, I've said, and many have said, I'm not gonna just take credit. I will, most humble. The smartest player, the chess master, as Terran, especially in the year when Maru wasn't winning everything, about 2017. Always a step ahead, willing to use it. Yeah, we don't pause for anyone besides Jimmy. Always willing to use the tech and the units that other players, because a lot of players are, whether by active or by almost a subconscious style, are Terran purists, almost. There are players like Beyond is one I'm reminded of I will make Marines and Marauders and Medevacs, and I will micro them, and that is my entire plan. I don't care, 30 plus minutes, more splits than a banana sundae factory. Whatever. But Terran has more options than that. They have a whole toolbox. But a lot of players seem to be very reluctant to use a lot of those tools. Ranged Liberators, mech, heavy tank play, forward bunkers, like things like this. That a lot of players seem to either be reluctant or actively try not to use those strategies for one reason or another. But Special and TY are definitely not two of those Terrans. They say, why hold back? Why not rush out Ranged Liberators early on? Why do I have to react to Templar when I could just already have Ghosts? Why would I go tanks later if I could just build tanks the whole game? Okay? Think about it. And I think that's why, as time goes on, those seem to be some of the players who get better and better, whereas others kind of fade away. They're willing to embrace those new styles and strategies. And it's paying off. Well, he just kind of let the probe in. Okay. Interesting choice. Not 100% sure it was a choice. But he does give away... I mean, it's the 1-1-1, which it almost always is. But it's the 1-1-1. Cloak is on the way already. Showtime. He's got to come up with something better. Like, I'm not convinced it's mech like I was convinced. This map, not as good for mech as King's Cove. As the third base is a little bit dicier to defend, and the fourth base, you don't have that ramp to every base that you do. Well, not as easily It's still on the table. But King's Cove is definitely one of the best if you're trying to go mech right off the bat. There's a Cyclone on the way, but that's just a standard defensive tool. If he adds on a third command center or 2 more gases now, that's your tell. Yeah, the Reaper, well, he's trying to get some information first. Always very important. There's a Stargate in the back. Has he seen the Phoenix yet? I have to do, like, I think we'll do on one of Special's other series, Eyes of a Pro Gamer, as in the first-person view. I'm actually going to go into first-person view for a second here. We'll get the Special action cam. He's just so good with the split-second micro. He's already killed 7. He killed 7 probes, and the Banshee's not even there yet. We weren't even paying attention. But just managing all these things, we're going to jump to the Special cam for a bit. I will break down one of his other series, but... Cloak Banshee comes in. He sees it's free real estate. Wait, does he even have any detection? Oh god, it's a massacre. Oh, he does have an oracle, okay, but still. He forces the recall and gets 6 more probes. He's now up 5 workers. And he forced a Stargate player to play defensive. The best defense with Stargate is a good offense. And guess what? Recalling your Phoenixes and Oracles to defend against a Banshee is not offense. I said, guess what? And then I was like, oh, what? Not realizing I myself had asked the question, so... Gotta stay on top of that. Phoenix is coming through. It is gonna be bio. Pound for pound, Marines are just a more cost-efficient counter. They're a more cost-efficient counter than most of mech's choices against Phoenixes. Things like Widow Mines can be helpful, but trying to transition into mech will give a Stargate player a ton of time to respond. That's usually why you don't... Well, why you won't see it at this stage. If he already had, say, a bunch of Widow Mines, or if he had a bunch of Cyclones, maybe, but... Oh, the Banshee? He doesn't even fire a shot. He doesn't give him the notification. But he is going to fly into an Oracle. He's just going to kill... This is a suicide Banshee. Decisive. He says, you're going down, but you're going to take some probes with you. And he's down to 42. Now, Showtime did get a pretty quick third. Losing this many probes doesn't matter as much. Well, actually, Special already had 3 racks up, and he's got medevacs. It does matter. It matters a lot. I was wrong here. The third base was before, or rather, other way. The third base was after the production was added, which means the timing attack will be coming sooner rather than later, as he doesn't have to ramp that up. He's going to have a ton of bio. Showtime is sprinting to a Templar Archives, but guess what? Special just scanned the exact timing. He knows he has at least 1 more minute until Storm could even hope to be done. So he's going to put everything together. He's going to get Stim. He's going to bring his tank. He's got 4 medevacs. He's got 4 Widow Mines. This is a deadly push. 135 to 102 supply. Special has more workers. Special's even on bases. 30 more army, and it's bio. And he's scouting ahead. Does he see the stasis? He does. And that might tip him off to the fact that there's more. He scans ahead. He sees it. It's just Archons. A revelation on the Widow Mines. He's looking. He's going through. Is there anything that can stop this? He picks up the Widow Mines. Good start. Now, they're actually being drawn into the army. He doesn't siege up the tank. He knows it's vulnerable. Forced to stutter step back. But Showtime, his forces are dwindling. He has no splash damage on the way. He doesn't have the upgrades. He can't go tit for tat. He can't go pound for pound, as these Zealots are not going to be able to close the distance quick enough to deal with the bio. The Archon's being zoned out. The Widowmine's picked up. One tank in the back. The Marines and Marauders are holding most of their ground. Widowmine hit kills an Archon. Other one going to be knocked down. The Liberator, Showtime holds the line for now. But what's next? He has less workers. He's not building upgrades. He's not getting splash damage. Special is grinding his way through. Another Widowmine hit. He's just whittling him down. There's so little left. He targets down a pylon. 153 to 111 supply. Showtime is struggling to keep himself in 3 digits, whereas Special keeps compounding. Meanwhile, he's fully established his third. The third base is cut off, isolated, destroyed. 6 probes go down with it. No hope of Storm. Another Archon. More Archons targeted before they can see the light of day. Picks up over the force fields. Drops back. Special. Tearing through everything. I mean, there's... Even if Special just kind of stood there now, he'd have the army. That's it. Special's taking it. 3 to 1. He moves on. Demour is broken. After a shaky game 1, really locking it down. That was some dominant TVP. I mean, he showed it against SOS. And now he shows it against Showtime. Special is one of the best in the world. There's a handful. I think there's a single-digit amount of players who can have a chance of beating him, including in Korea. He's looking really good, especially in TVP. The one matchup that Terrans are struggling with right now seems to be his strongest. So, that's interesting. And by interesting, I mean exciting. But thank you for all your Doritos chips. Make sure to leave a comment, either in the comments or in the chat, of course. A Doritos chip for Juanito's continued success, especially in GSL coming up. If you enjoyed the cast, like and subscribe. If tanks were everywhere, like and subscribe. If nothing else is happening in your life, like and subscribe. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. When I watch YouTube videos, I rarely like and subscribe. But I might like this one. So, make the difference today. Thank you.